The TurboGrafx was an amazing console that I grew up with and enjoyed several of its classics, playing everything from Bonk's Adventure, Legendary Axe, Blazing Lasers, just to name a few of the games that I loved playing on the console. We're not talking about any of those today. We're looking at the worst games released on the TurboGrafx in the United States. And here is another bad game video. I'm having a lot of fun doing these, looking at the worst games in a console's library and sharing those games with you. So I hope you enjoy this one. Sit back, relax, you may want to grab some popcorn. Let's take a look. Back in the day, I would go to Toys R Us and check out and see what new TurboGrafx games were coming out. And I saw this game. Looking at the back of the box art is what I typically use to determine whether or not I would pick up a game. It kind of reminded me of a cross between Kung Fu and Altered Beast. Had huge sprites. I was really looking forward to playing this one. Seeing the title screen and hearing the music, I'm like, all right, this is going to be a great game. And this is the game. Now, graphically impressive. This makes a great tech demo, but the gameplay is just way too simple. Punching and kicking in this kind of side-scrolling that's constantly moving you forward. It just is too simple and too simplistic compared to many other classic titles for the TurboGrafx. This one is not aged well. Now, it was offered on the Virtual Console, but in my opinion, this is a really bad game. The boss fights are clunky. The gameplay is clunky. Now, sprites are huge and it's flicker free. That's amazing for this console, but the gameplay definitely falls short. You're essentially just jumping and punching and kicking. Only 4 stages. It does get rather difficult, but I don't like this game whatsoever. It fails on several different levels. You know, it's definitely trying to be, you know, an homage to Kung Fu, Bruce Lee. Definitely, it just falls way short. Avoid this. There's several other games on the console that are better. Darkwing Duck on the NES. It was a great game on the Nintendo Entertainment System, often referred to as a more simplistic Mega Man style game. I really enjoyed this one and had great gameplay. It was fast, had awesome music. Well, they made a Darkwing Duck for the TurboGrafx-16, and it is highly sought after, fairly rare, as there wasn't many licensed titles on this console in the US. And so seeing the title screen, another amazing one. Oh, that's a cool introduction. I really like that. And I was looking forward to a great platformer. I'm a big fan of platformers. And this one completely disappoints, taking all the fun out of the NES version. This is a different game, and it's just a terrible platformer. First and foremost, you move really slow, and the hit detection's terrible. You have limited shots with your weapon. You have to pick up ammo, which is sparse. The actual platforms you have to jump on, this is just a slow, monotonous mess. Everything that was fun about the NES version is taken away from this. You know, taking that raw power the TurboGrafx-16 had, it could do amazing platformers and had several. Bonk comes to mind. This is not a good game at all. Sometimes you have to make blind jumps. The enemies are cheap. You're often getting killed, one-hit deaths. Everything about the level design is atrocious. Avoid this. This is one of the worst platformers on the console. A huge disappointment. One of the main genres that the TurboGrafx-16 is known for is shooters, classic shooters. And so when I saw this used, I immediately thought of Darius. I'm thinking, gosh, this has to be good, as TurboGrafx had several other shooters that I really enjoyed. So I picked it up. Deep Blue can't even be called a discount Darius. That would be an insult to Darius. There's so many problems with this side-scrolling shooter. Where do I begin? Well, first and foremost, you get swarmed by cheap enemy hits. Now, your ship can take multiple hits, and that's a good thing. The bad thing, one life. for this entire game. There's no information on the screen to say how much life you have left. You have to just go off the color of your sub's eye or lens or whatever you want to call that. You know, and it's just very, very, very annoying, cheap hits. I hate that about a game. The power-ups have to match what you're able to avoid in a level, and this game fails on that level oh so much. There's so many things I want to like about this game. I like the premise. I like underwater shooters. You know, Darius proves that that theme can work, and this fails on all levels. It's just an incredibly short game. The power-ups that you pick up don't really help you out whatsoever, and it comes down to intensity. You know, what makes a good shooter is intensity, where the intensity builds up, the action sequences, the music. This fails on all points. Avoid it. One of the worst shooters on the console. I love myself some top-down racers. A few that come to mind that I really like: RC Pro-Am, Combat Cars, Power Drive. And so I had no expectations picking up Moto Roader. You know, I heard about it. You know, it was an early release for the TurboGrafx, and so wanted to check it out. At first, you choose your stage that you want to race on. There's items that you can upgrade in your vehicle. I thought that was pretty cool with prize money. I like that aspect of this game. So where does this game go wrong? Well, it comes down to control, and the start of the game you're really sluggish. Now you can upgrade your car, and it will be able to handle better. You'll be able to be more successful, but that control, the control is constantly changing. You're using the direction pad to steer around a track. While that sounds simple, it is actually rather confusing. If you lag behind your opponents, the game will automatically bump you ahead. Now, while I don't mind this feature done every now and then, as you progress in this game, it happens so much, it becomes boring. It becomes kind of like a pinball effect. It is truly an awful game to control. Now, I know there's fans out there. I know there's people that like this game. I hate this game. One of the worst top-down racers ever made. A true mess. Psygnosis is a great company that had some amazing Amiga games. And when I saw Ballistics for the TurboGrafx-16, I saw that artwork. I'm like, man, this is going to be an awesome game. Ballistics is kind of a futuristic sports game, and you're playing against a computer or another player. I had a hard time really getting into this game whatsoever. At first I'm like, what the heck's going on? You're actually shooting at the puck balls. It's entirely confusing. There's too much on the screen to figure out what's going on. There's power-ups. There's 100 different levels, but it doesn't matter because the computer is incredibly cheap and lame, and you just get defeated over and over again, and it moves you on to the next stage. You know, it is just awful and painful to play this game, and this is no fun. In my opinion, I think this is the worst game on the TurboGrafx-16. It fails on all levels. It's everything from the gameplay mechanics. The computer's incredibly cheap. Now, I was able to score a few goals. Yay for me. But other than that, it's a truly terrible game. It's confusing. It's how you do not do a futuristic sports style game. This is an absolute train wreck mess. I didn't like this game back in the day, and firing it up, I hate it just as much. Truly terrible. Ugh. Now, these games aren't the worst of the worst for all time. There are several other game consoles that have worse games than these, but I chose these 5 games because I think they're the worst for the TurboGrafx-16. What are your picks? I would love to hear in the comments below what you think are worse than these games, or do you agree with my pickings? I want to thank everybody for the ongoing support. I'm having a lot of fun doing these videos and sharing with you my picks for the worst games of all time. It's actually more difficult to pick 5 of the worst games of a particular library than picking the best top 5. And so what do you think? Definitely want to hear from you. And as always, let's keep it safe, be positive. This is the Immortal John Hancock. Thank you for watching my video, and you have a good day.